The Wagner Group, also known as PMC Wagner, is a Russian paramilitary organization which has been advertising aggressively for new recruits across Russia. It's been described as a private military company, a network of mercenaries, or the de facto private army of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Officially, the group does not exist. While the Wagner Group itself is not ideologically driven, various elements of Wagner have been linked to neo-Nazis and far-right extremists. The group reportedly took its name from its leader, Dmitry Utkin, a retired Russian military officer. Mr. Utkin is said to have chosen Wagner to honor the composer, who was a favorite of Hitler's. Despite the Kremlin's denial of any ties to Wagner, Mr. Utkin has been photographed next to Mr. Putin. It's been reported that the Wagner Group has allegedly offered prisoners in St. Petersburg and Nizhny Novgorod prisons high salaries and potential amnesty in exchange for 6 months of service in Ukraine. They were told that it's very difficult to detect Nazis in Ukraine, and that they're very well trained, the family member of an unnamed detainee said. When recounting a relative's retelling of a meeting with Wagner recruiters, they said, quote, "You'll be in the vanguard helping detect the Nazis, so not everyone will come back." Russia sent troops into Ukraine on February 24 with the stated aim of supposedly denazifying and demilitarizing its pro-Western neighbor. After struggling to take the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, Moscow shifted its focus toward eastern Ukraine for the campaign's second phase in late March. Instead of written contracts, prison volunteers are reportedly offered verbal promises of compensation amounting to $90,000 paid to their families in case of their death. At one St. Petersburg prison, 200 inmates initially showed interest in the offer, with 40 eventually enlisting. When the relatives of detainees contacted the warden at the same prison about the event, he said that he was hearing about the recruitment drive for the first time, it was reported. At least 40 inmates signed up to join the war at that prison, the relative said. The inmates, after being urged to defend the motherland, were reportedly told it would look like they were being transferred but they'd be dropped off at the border with Ukraine. Wagner is recruiting people. No one is hiding that. The prison guards are saying that directly, the inmate's relative said. Family members of another inmate who agreed to join the war said he'd done so because he genuinely believed he'd have his conviction expunged and be free upon his return. But it seems the recruiters aren't really expecting any of the inmates to make it back alive. Relatives of an inmate at a separate prison said the men were told they'd be sent into the war without any identification documents. Workers at 2 St. Petersburg shipyards managed by the state-owned United Shipbuilding Corporation and sanctioned oligarch Alisher Usmanov's Metallinvest have also reportedly been targeted as part of a recruiting drive by Russia's defense ministry. The workers at the Admiralty and the Baltic shipyards were offered contracts with monthly salaries of over $5,000 to go fight in Ukraine. Workers at Lebedynsky Mining and Processing Works in Belgorod, owned by Usmanov's Metallinvest, described similar efforts, though the company has denied that. These kinds of recruitment initiatives are likely to only grow as the Russians scour all sections of society in search of new recruits for Putin's war. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you can be alerted to our next video. We'll see you again soon on Warzone.